All right, welcome to a new episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today is episode 300 of the show. We're kicking off the next 100 episodes with a new theme, as you just heard, and a few tweaks around here and there for the artwork in the show notes and various things. I'm also planning some stuff on the website, so a lot of new plans. We just started the 6th year of the podcast, 300 episodes. Thank you to everyone who's been out there listening all this time. Thank you to all the new listeners. I am so excited that for episode 300, it just worked out perfectly for it to be this live episode we just did on Friday, April 21st over at Maya Cinemas in North Las Vegas on Evil Dead Rise. And my guests for the episode were Michael Keene, Joe Black, and Jimmie Gonzalez. And we have a great conversation lined up about the latest entry in basically my favorite series of movies. And we will get into some puzzle pieces. We get into a whole bunch about the movie, and it's a fun time, and we had a great time doing the live show, and looking forward to doing more live shows in the future, along with lots more podcasts coming your way. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you're subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at PiecingPod, and don't forget to join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. And I want to let you know, we do have a Patreon, the Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from Piecing It Together, Awesome Movie Year, and from my music career. I actually posted some outtakes from this episode on the Patreon. We had a little bit of extra time to chat at the beginning before we actually got the real thing started, and so I threw that up on the Patreon. I'll keep adding more and more stuff to there as we continue going, but in the meantime, there is plenty of content, so check it out, patreon.com/bydavidrosen. Now, with that said, let's talk about Evil Dead Rise. All right, well, welcome everybody to live Piecing It Together on the movie we just watched, Evil Dead Rise. As people who listen to this podcast know, Evil Dead means a lot to me, and this actually happens to be the 300th episode of Piecing It Together when this goes up on the feed on Monday, so I'm very excited to talk about it. Whether we're 100% on the positive side or not, we'll see as we get into it. But let's introduce the guests before we get into the movie too much. First up, from LA, Joe Black is here. He's been on the show almost more than anybody, and I'm happy to have him on a live show.
Happy to be here. I was also on the 200th episode.
You were.
I remember that. And
yeah.
Was it Hubie Halloween?
No, it was Death Rider in the House of
was
something.
Was that 200?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
which has not come out yet.
It still hasn't. It's the Danzig movie,
and it's much better than this one.
It's been lost to time. It's never going to come out, as far as I know.
You have a spiffy poster of that movie. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Michael Keene is right next to Joe, there.
I'm so jealous that y'all got to see that. I was just looking at that movie like, how can I fucking see this?
I saw it twice.
Oh, you piece of shit.
I actually emailed the distributor, and they wrote me back, "We're not dealing with this movie anymore." And so I was like, yeah.
Are you telling me that Glenn Danzig might be a difficult person to work with? Hi, I'm Michael Keene. I am also a filmmaker, but I'm not from LA, so I don't matter as much. And I made a shot on VHS movie called The Head, and I made a movie about a bed with a vagina that eats people called Dr. Deathface. So that's me.
Very cool.
Jimmie Gonzalez is on the end over there. First time on the show, and I'm really happy that he's here.
Yeah.
Jimmie, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, thanks for having me. Jimmie Gonzalez. I'm a local DJ and also a programmer. I'm a DJ over at Nightmare Cafe. It's a horror-themed cafe here in Las Vegas. And we do a trivia night called Nightmare Trivia. I'm actually a VJ. What I do is it's called Cinemixes, where I take films and the soundtrack and I do my own music video mashup and I play all those videos. So everything you hear is what I also edited. So I'll take a song like, I don't know, it could be from Jacob's Ladder, right? And then they'll do the James Brown track in there called the funk, or I forgot, is it funk track or something like that? And I'll take that track with the clips and some Jacob's Ladder, mash it up. People dance, they watch. It's a lot of fun. And we also do trivia nights. So yeah, I'm also a filmmaker. I made a film in 2015 called The Red Man. psychological horror thriller. It's based off a DJ who sold himself to the devil. So that's what I did. Now I'm here.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm
And I was
seriously the least cool person here. Holy shit! This is like high school all over again.
I mean, I think
damn.
that honor would go to me, but
Oh right,
so,
David's here.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
so,
I take it back.
Anyway, for people that are here that haven't listened to the show before, which I think all of you have, but we always kick off these live ones with kind of taking a puzzle piece off the board just to explain to everybody how the show works. And what puzzle pieces are movies we think might have inspired the movie we just watched, Evil Dead Rise. And so the one we're going to use today is Demons 2. And that's a movie that took its premise of, zombies coming to a movie theater and killing a whole bunch of people, and took it to a high-rise apartment and transferred all the horror there and basically kind of redid the exact same thing as the first one. And so it kind of seems like what we're doing here with Evil Dead Rise. We're taking the same basic beats and taking it into an unescapable high-rise apartment building. So you guys fans of Demons 2 over there?
I like Demons too. It's not demons,
Right,
but
absolutely.
it's real.
I watched it because I love demons.
Yeah.
I gave it a
I
shot.
refuse to watch it because the last shot of the first Demons is that beautiful. I forget her name. The main actress from Demons. She's so beautiful. Like she's
Oh,
like
the
Rebecca Hall
Goretta?
level beautiful.
Oh,
And
I
then
can't remember.
at the end, she like turns around and she is a demon. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, so she's not in 2? Pass. Like yeah.
It does have a great bit where, like the filmmakers had to figure out how to get the, let's be honest, Deadite ripoffs
Sure.
into the apartment building, and instead of like any obvious way, they just come through a TV,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
like in the screen in the first one, and it is that exact
Yeah.
premise again, but just blunted by the fact that it's not in a fucking cool ass theater,
Right,
It's
right.
in an apartment,
Yeah.
which is kind of we'll talk about that.
Very Videodrome-ish too, the way that came out. I thought
Sure.
it was,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Was that
Very
before? Was that before Videodrome?
That was
or
after.
Yeah, it
It
was
like 3
after.
years
Okay, then
Yeah.
he watched
Before
it.
Freddie did it.
They watched it.
Definitely before
Oh.
that.
Pieces for the pieces.
Pieces for the pieces on
when,
this
when
one.
I
yeah.
cheated because
Yeah.
I did a YouTube video on this just
Yeah.
to try to figure out what
Yeah.
I could use, and it turns out that was a waste of time. But Lee Cronin, the director,
Mm-hmm.
at least before making this, had never seen Demons 2.
Huh. That's random.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy because both have parking garage. I guess it makes sense there'd be a parking garage.
There's plenty,
scene
I'm sure we
that's-
can get into about apartment horror films that Lee Cronin might have seen.
Yeah,
And
'cause
parking garage horror films.
there are many of each. So
Okay, who's gonna drop P2? Come on.
I was thinking it.
You
I
were
was
thinking it?
Oh yeah, I was actually.
put it on the honorary list.
Well, I was trying to think. Didn't Sam Raimi produce that? Then no, it was Alexandra Aja.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Produced that.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the puzzle pieces. Joe Black, what do you have for your first piece?
Oh my gosh, Ghostbusters, I guess.
Oh.
The idea of like the apartment building being built up around this thing, that's evil, and for some reason in this movie, and and her getting possessed, and then like it tearing apart the building, and then them getting transformed into something else, and like that made sense. But this one just didn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, like, what did it being like a building about to be condemned have to do with anything? Why were they poor? Why were the demons? Like, I don't know. Like, movies are not just about the script. Movies are not just about the cinematography or the acting. It's about everything. But my access point out of the gate is the writing.
Sure.
And like, there isn't any in this. Like, when you write, you want to like pay things off or set things up or have a rhyme and reason why things come together. Why are we watching this story? These people, yada, yada, yada. And, if you don't have that, then it has to be like really fun and entertaining and distracting, almost kind of like the first Evil Dead. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to how the demons work in that either. But at the very least, they have like the corn-fed, white bread American kids getting like horribly turned into demons. This doesn't even quite have that. Like, it just, I don't know. This movie is like...
Well, I mean, I don't want to go too far off of a tangent on like,
Yeah.
how good it is or whatever,
Right.
but like to Ghostbusters as a piece being built up around all that, like I completely agree. They set that up and take a long ass time setting that up here in Evil Dead Rise, but with no payoff to
Yeah,
that.
and the
at all.
juxtaposition that it's a really nice apartment building. You know what I mean? They've got like this beautiful, like this
A lot
demonic
of space
Yeah,
for
exactly.
poor people. They have a pretty big
Yeah,
apartment building.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
fact that space gets like turned into like a demon, sanctuary is like funny, or there's a nice little juxtaposition at the very least. This is just like, well, it's a shitty building.
Yeah, I would
That was
have
a hard
liked
sell.
to I really would have liked to see like a single shot just going floor by floor of just all these fucking demons going absolute crazy.
that would've been cool.
All
Yeah.
these like different people turning into deadites.
Yeah.
They're chaos demons. Make some chaos. And I like the movie. I will say that right off the bat. I really liked it. But that said, I do like it's a lot of setup, and then it kind of just happens really, really fast.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating because it does seem, and admittedly, I did not rewatch the first two Evil Dead movies for this. It seems like those are both pretty much all action for the most part. Like the first one has that bit of setup at the top, and then it's a lot of action, and then the second one is almost entirely action.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity because everybody knows. First off, everybody knows how deadites work, but secondly, it does not fucking matter. You don't like. I actually would say it's a plus that it doesn't make any sense, and they don't really explain a lot. I think that it's great to not explain the deadites, but as you said, there's a lot of that setup, and for no real good reason, and that is frustrating.
I don't know that you need to explain anything. It's just not interesting because like it doesn't nothing relates to anything, and at one point you're just kind of like, okay, well why did that girl get possessed but not the little girl? Does the like you start to go like, well, what does any of this matter? You know, and it wasn't fun enough to like distract you from that. Like it wants you to take it seriously, but it has nothing of value to give you that the other ones didn't. You know what I mean? Like
I get that. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree on my end, but I can understand where you're getting that. Yeah.
Well, the only thing for me is I was so happy to find out that it took place in an apartment building, but then at the same time I was like, didn't really need to.
Yeah.
It's like like you said, everything that could have been done wasn't, as far as they really should have took advantage of all the floors that are in this building. There's so much more characters they could have had. I mean, they literally did everything on one floor and then the garage.
and half of it through a peephole.
And
The peephole was the best scene of the
love
movie,
it.
I think.
The
Oh, yeah.
peephole was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying to my son, actually, I was like, you can't do an apartment horror film without the peephole shot. So they did that at least.
Yeah.
So, but as far as my puzzle piece, I mean, there's quite a few that goes back into some of my earlier horror loves. Like I'm a big Italian horror fan, so I saw a lot of Mario Bava's Shock in this, which is the fear of the mother. And possession of the mother, and also Beyond the Door, another Italian film. If you guys know that one from was that 1977? But I mean, just the whole like untrustworthy mother.
Sure.
And and another one was Good Night Mommy.
Yeah, that was on my list of possibilities too, yeah.
So I love to see all that, and all those elements came together. And I was watching earlier. I watched it today. Actually, it was the Hole in the Ground, just to kind of get familiar with Lee Cronin. And I definitely saw how he handles family drama and having the mother son. You guys, have you seen his film? The first film?
Actually, that was my first puzzle piece, but I guess I'll just
Sorry about that.
I'll toss that.
I know I'm running through a bunch of them now, but
also has a hole in the ground in this movie.
There's two holes in the
Yeah,
ground.
That's what I was
Cut
actually.
that.
I wasn't going to use it, and then as soon as that hole opened up, it's like, well, fuck! There's a fucking hole in the ground.
I figured he had to do that too.
Yeah. And I think, as far as Lee Cronin is concerned, the director of this movie, like, I think The Hole in the Ground and this are roughly on even level, I would say. Like,
I think it's weird because The Hole in the Ground, it's a really well-made film, really strong performances, and then it's just kind of the same thing you've seen 1,000 goddamn times,
Right.
and so you get that like, oh, this is a really enjoyable this is a great cover song we just got, and I think that's kind of how I'm feeling towards this movie as I'm thinking about it more. It is like a really, for me, good cover song.
Yeah.
It doesn't beat the original, or like the most famous cover of the original, but it's a good cover.
yeah.
I'll add it to a fucking Spotify playlist.
There you go. Michael, let's go to your first piece.
Well, I wasn't going to use this one, but now I have to come up with some extra shit.
Sure.
The Shining. And I actually, for more than just the obvious reasons, first off, the kid's name is Danny. And then also there's the elevator shot. I know one of you was like, the fucking Shining shot.
I thought it was from Dr. Sleep.
Oh, yeah, of course.
No, I think I said Shining right before the blood even came out. I knew it was coming
Yeah,
out.
there's
I think every single person in the theater did.
Yeah.
Not me.
So there's that. There's
What
also,
about all
I
you
thought the
guys?
tub scene might have been an allusion to the woman in the tub in The Shining. There's probably a lot more references because I know that, again, per my cheating, Lee Cronin loves two horror movies above all else. They're pretty much standard issue for any film student, but one of them is The Shining, and one of them is Jaws, another film that we kind of get a little bit of in that opening. Not a whole lot, but I feel like because he, in every interview I read, was like, fucking love Jaws, but in Irish. Like, I would say that that was his moment of like, I can get just one fucking water scare out of this. One goddamn, I can get the blood bubbling up like it's a fucking shark, but in Irish. So I'm just going to have both of those as one puzzle piece, if that's
Perfect.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jaws
I was so sure they were going to forget to go back to the one day later thing. It was like so at the end, and they still hadn't done anything. So.
Yeah, I think that does undercut it a bit, because I thought they were going to go for something clever, which I don't particularly like clever stuff. I'm a Jess Franco fan. I don't ask for much.
Nice.
But I thought, it's going to be some twist, right? And then, no, it's just some broad in the building that we've not referenced once.
Yeah, exactly. What is it? The opening to Piranha 3D when it's Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh, yeah.
Is supposed to be what's his name from fucking Jaws, and he's wearing the same outfit, and he gets sucked in like in the whirlpool, and the last image is his skeleton hand giving the fingers that comes down. That's a good opening.
That is a great opening.
It is.
This one I was just like, okay, so they both died.
There you
Right.
go. No.
Yeah, I do love the continued motif of the blaring giant titles.
Yeah.
Unironically, I think that's
Yeah.
like when Evil Dead Rise rising out of the mountains, very on the nose. But I was just like, my little editor heart was like, yeah, boy, baby. Oh, that's not my heart actually. That's my penis. But I don't love the balls of this movie as far as style. There's no balls anywhere else. But as far as style goes, also they kill children. That's nothing new, but
Yeah.
That's another Dr. Sleep thing where it's like I remember when I saw Dr. Sleep, not that I'm using that as a puzzle piece, but it's just like when it got to what's his little name getting it all ripped up, at that point I was so sick and tired of seeing kids get killed. Because at that point you had both of the It movies, Dr. Sleep and Halloween, the David Gordon Green.
Oh, yeah.
First one, they kill it. And I was just like, oh, you killed another kid. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking kill the littlest kid if you're going to really have some guts in this one.
Make it count.
Yeah,
for sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and if I was the aunt, when that girl got pulled back in the gate, I'd be like, peace. Like, like I'm out of here. Like, fuck you.
It is like you mentioned that there's like it doesn't like pay off a lot of things.
Yeah.
And one thing that did kind of, and this is something that just frustrates me a lot, is you kind of see some movies just following a beat sheet. They take out their copy of Save the Cat, they turn to whatever the fucking page is, and just jot down their little notes. And it did feel like this movie did that, but it was like off kilter.
They only read the first 2 chapters.
Well, it was like, how I don't know if you've read,
Chekhov's wood chipper.
in Save the Cat, there's this thing that most people who have gotten past that level of screenwriting will make fun of it, where Blake Snyder's like, okay, on page 5 you have to do this, on page 10 you have to do this, and it's fucking bullshit. But it is based on like a kind of a science of like, oh yeah, most movies they get to this bullshit on page 5. Great. And in this case, it's like Lee Cronin was like, well, do we have to? I could just be, puts on sunglasses, a cool motherfucker, but in Irish, and so he's like, well, this page 5 beat can happen on page 20.
I much prefer the way the Coen brothers did it with Inside Llewyn Davis, where he literally saves the cat.
Oh, yeah.
In 5 minutes in, and he's still just an asshole that nobody likes. So I think that's a little more clever than this movie.
We need to talk about that movie more one of these days.
Inside
for
Llewyn
sure.
Davis? Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know. Unfortunately for me, I just think that I has to say it, but I just think this movie just reeked of like assignment. Like he just, okay, this is what I think the people need. This is what Hollywood's telling me what to do. I did not see any originality out of it.
Me either.
I just thought that it was like, what does he think the people want? There was nothing original in it. I've seen it all before.
Yeah.
The member berry effect.
I'm sorry,
and
the trying to hold it in.
How are you going to do the eyeball thing and not do it as clever as in the original Evil Dead 2? Like the POV of the eye, like that's brilliant. Like this was just like whoop, and then did that kid even die? I didn't even see that kid die.
Yeah.
Was he swallowed
Which
the thing?
took me out of it, because as soon as that happened, I was like, all right, so we are going comedy, and we're going to be completely serious. Now we're going to go comedy, and that took me out right there.
That does make me wonder if maybe, I'm sorry, David, this is turning into a review show, but
I'm loving it here. So.
I am wondering how much there was like a little meddling in the editing bay on this one.
Yeah,
because it does
be.
feel like, because you don't see that kid die, but he definitely dies.
Yeah.
There had to have been like a scene or a shot specifically for that.
I was looking for him in the little crab monster thing that they became.
He must have been in there, but
they
like
can't even cut that. Like they didn't get into detail who was in this monster. You know.
Yeah. Well, I
we
think
know who it was, but
Well,
we
she
didn't
said
see.
her kids,
Yeah,
in the dream. The one thing that kind of comes back. But, like, again, like, what's her relationship to these kids? Like, is she a good mom? Is she a bad mom? She's got tattoos, but she doesn't like that her sister is, like, with bands. Like, I don't, like, what is this? Like, it's just nothing.
I got a piece out of that, though. Society. Seeing all
God
that.
damn it! God damn it!
throw it on the list.
We don't have to elaborate. We can just say it, right?
Poor Michael.
Oh, fuck. Oh
What's your
shit.
next movie?
Yeah, let's throw one of these out here. I'm gonna go with Mom and Dad, the Nicolas Cage, Selma Blair movie.
haven't seen that
This
one
is
yet.
more just mom without the dad, but you know, stuck in this house, in this apartment, in this case, and they're just going 100% at the kids, you know. And that movie is also a movie that I felt like it went a little bit too soft. Like this movie never quite gets to where I was hoping it would go as an Evil Dead movie. And there's a few pretty gnarly moments in it, but overall, we spend so much time on story stuff, and that's good. You know, it's a movie, we want story, but it never pays off the story stuff. So we might as well just stick to just violence.
And that movie in the third act kind of betrays the whole movie. Like the way they handled Selma Blair as the mom in that, her being conflicted and kind of getting possessed by the end and becoming kind of like takes the fun out of the movie. Like it makes it a little too tragic in the 25th hour there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, this is Mom and Dad without the dad. And why would you go see Mom and Dad? Because Nick Cage plays dad.
Yeah.
So this movie is Mom and Dad without the dad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where is like the goof? Where is like the wit and the relation and the, you know.
Yeah.
I will say though, and I forgot her fucking name, but the woman who plays Elle.
Yeah.
First off,
Who's Elle?
I like a good tall broad.
Which one is Elle?
Ellie. Ellie's the mother.
The mother.
Okay.
Alyssa
She
Sutherland.
was fucking great.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved her performance.
I agree.
I thought that was I think the moment that I kind of I knew that this wasn't going to fully fulfill my expectations was when I knew she was going into the chipper. I was like, I don't have nearly enough of this broad. And some of that might be she's a nice tall broad, but I just wanted another like a big conflict. Like there's in the Evil Dead 2013, there's
Right.
that confrontation
Right.
with the like personification of the Deadites or whatever. I haven't seen that movie in years.
Roughly 10.
Yeah, and there's fucking blood rain pouring down, and she's got the fucking chainsaw, and she chainsaws her in half, and it's like this really fucking epic conclusion. And to go from that to put her in a wood chipper, it's it's cool.
Which we've seen done before.
We have
Plenty
seen
of
done
times.
before.
Yeah. And done better. I just watched Rumble in the Bronx yesterday, and that's in Rumble in the Bronx.
Shit, I'll give Halloween Ends a better wood chipper.
Oh, I would too. I love it.
In nice full brightness too, right?
Yeah.
Slow mo.
Right.
Another movie that I really like that
I love that
I'm
movie.
just okay. Thank God.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
God, three people on this one stage that all love that movie. That's wild.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Joe, let's go to another piece. What do you got?
Okay, another puzzle piece. Well, I guess I was going to say that movie Dark Water that I mentioned
yeah.
to you earlier,
I had
but
that one in my head.
I actually think you can throw in all of the horrible American Japanese
J
remakes of
horror,
that
right.
era because it's like they take this idea that like, and those movies actually made the other mistake where they made rules for them, which made them less scary. You know what I mean? But Dark Water was kind of cool because it that one was the one where she's getting a divorce. Jennifer Connelly's getting a divorce, and she doesn't want the husband to have the kids, so they move into this apartment that she can afford. And then it's like leaking, and then it turns out that like a little girl was murdered in the water, or well, drowned in the water tower above, and like now her ghost haunts it, and she wants Jennifer Connelly to be her mom. And at the end, she kills Jennifer Connelly, and Jennifer Connelly. It ends with Jennifer Connelly's like a fucking ghost, and like, hey, daughter, that's actually mine. I'll see you in the afterlife. You know, peace.
Well,
Like,
that's a good one because you're right.
Yeah.
They took a lot of the drama from a lot of those J-horror films, and he brought that element in, which is very important. A lot of the earlier 80s and even 90s horror films, they would not even go that far into character development and everything. So I think that came from a lot of the J-horror films.
Well, and he mentions the Freddy movies in this. You
Yeah,
know, and I was
yeah.
thinking about it, how like I actually agree with him that there are no bad Freddy movies. Like but like in that like they're all.
Now we won't agree, Dave.
You know
Well,
what? Original canon, sure.
Yeah, right. Well, not the but well, does Freddy vs. Jason count in that? 'Cause
Hey,
really
I watched
like
them
that
all
one
more
too.
than once, so I
But
guess it counts.
those movies at the very least deliver on what you came for.
Yeah.
And I don't even know that this one necessarily does.
But
Like,
but it
maybe
will. But it will.
pockets.
I felt it was one of these movies that like it will. All these new remakes that have been coming out, or franchises. I say the same thing. They don't do it like they used to. But I find myself rewatching them a year or two later, over and over, like I would all the time. So they kind of seep in a little later.
I just think
Hopefully.
it's so
Maybe I'm
dull
wrong.
what's happened to movies in general, even horror movies, where it's like more gritty,
yeah.
more realistic. It's like, no, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
when Freddy made that girl's arms cockroach arms and
that's-
she
yeah.
fought him with
Well, that's-
nunchucks.
I mean, come
I
on,
want to
you-
go see that movie.
Yeah, you can't beat that. But Michael was talking earlier about how there's some like good style to this movie, if nothing else. And like I did feel like this, it had the feeling at least of something that was memorable, like some '80s horror movie or something that's like particularly
There's
memorable.
definitely got
It did
those
to get him
scenes.
to the Greek adrenaline shot where the camera's like right here and their face attached to their body. And
I mean,
like, if there's one shot that can just die off, I'd.
Did they not do like a Snorri Cam-esque shot in one of the Evil Dead?
No,
feel
not
like I've
not
seen
from
that.
the face. Maybe from behind or. Well, no, actually, when Ash is spinning through the, that was
Yeah,
one of the best. Yeah,
I mean, that's
That was
incredible.
beyond
Yeah.
the Snorri
Yeah.
Cam. That was
Yeah, that's-
Can't do that in an
another
apartment
level.
complex.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'll throw down a puzzle piece. It's the most fucking obvious that I don't even know if it counts, but because to that point, The Evil Dead. It's I don't know if y'all know about this movie, The Evil Dead, directed
No.
by this Samuel Raimi.
Samuel Raimi.
The guy who did Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah,
Yes.
the master
No, he
cylinder
did
himself, Sam
Spider-Man.
Raimi. And how's it the deepest cut I've ever done?
Real quick before you continue on that, did they show the Ghost House Productions logo?
No.
No.
What's up
No.
with that? That's weird. Because
That's true. Unless it was a new logo that didn't really catch our eyes, right? But I mean, it was definitely not the one we're used
I mean,
to
we
seeing.
were
Yeah.
like we did have our eyes on like literally touching the screen. So
Yeah.
Maybe
we might
that's
have
why the
missed it.
That's why I was
projection
saying.
paused because they're like, wait a minute, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
that's true,
We
too.
forgot
We
like,
forgot the
oh,
logo.
I
shit.
thought they were
Well,
trying to mess with us right off the top. Like, what is he up to? And
That
it went a
opening
little
shot
too
too, I
long.
was like, "Oh God, are they just doing the Dead
Yeah.
Eye POV with
Yes.
a drone these
Yes.
days? This is horrible." And then it was a drone,
Yes.
and I was like, "That's even worse." Like,
I know. Sadly, I said I knew it too loudly.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the drone thing. I do
I
wish
thought it was
they had,
cool.
I wish they
That
had
was-
actually done more with the
Right.
because they set up the fuck up your face thing.
Yeah.
And then it's very quick. It's like a boat motor hit his face. He's go, or her face. He just goes boom.
Yeah, that shot I actually knocked it for not being original, but that was pretty original. Seeing
Sure.
a drone, what you think is going to be the dead coming in there.
it's original, but it's also I hate like
you seen it?
harping on this movie not being
I
as
know.
great, but it's original, but it's also like 6 years too late.
yes,
Yeah. Well, they did plan
also
this
the
movie in
DJing
2019.
and like the record, like it coming on vinyl. Like I feel like the vinyl. Obviously I work at Wax
Don't
Tracks
steal my
Records. Plug,
piece.
but no, I won't. But I work at Wax Tracks Records. Vinyl. Everybody go buy vinyl. But like,
Yeah.
the resurrection of vinyl has been happening for a while.
Right.
And
now,
after Ambulance last year, Michael Bay has taken drone work to the next level.
Yes,
so this
he
is
has.
like
Yes, he has.
2000 and
true.
late.
Yeah,
But
that's
for
right.
that, actually, I was just listening to a show. Lee Cronin was talking, and they mentioned that this was in the works since like 2019. So maybe because
They
that
just
really
kept the
was the
script, yeah.
vinyl kind of
Yeah.
comeback era.
So was Terrifier 2, and that movie was fucking dope. Okay?
Oh god, I don't like Terrifier 2.
I still haven't seen that. But.
Oh, really?
I do. I mean, I think it's fun that they do the backwards record thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a very
That I
80s
like.
trope, brought
Yeah.
back. But so the Evil Dead, the thing I did notice, to your point about the style, David, is there is a strong, and it's unfortunately it's a small part of the movie because it's after like what felt like 45 minutes of setup.
Yeah.
But it does have that mixture of style and humor with more straight-faced horror that
Yeah.
the first film has, because there is that level of just it's kind of dopey because they had no money. But there is humor to it, but not Evil Dead 2 humor. And there are a lot of creative shots, not as many creative shots as Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
And in that way, it did feel like maybe not a strong successor to The Evil Dead, but it did feel like it knew, at least on a production level, what it needed to do to make a good movie. I think that, and this is me spitballing, I think in the editing, things went to shit to some degree.
It just reminded me of that Total Recall with Colin Farrell. They're like, yeah, it's Total Recall. Like the machine and the 3-titted alien, that's Total Recall, right? And this one's like, yeah, the eyeball, like it flies in the mouth. Like that's Evil Dead.
We saw some really strong gore. A lot of it was in the trailer, unfortunately, which I did watch a lot because I was like, "Fucking yeah, give me some Evil Dead."
It's a good trailer.
It's a wonderful.
Yeah.
It's such a well cut trailer that it's almost a disservice to the movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just like Blue Valentine.
Why wasn't it just a single clip of Ryan Gosling going down on her, and then the title? That's a trailer. That's a trailer.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We never found out who the father was in this movie.
I thought that it was going to turn out that like
could have saved the day or
Yeah.
something.
and
Or?
that also, again, it feels like, okay, they must have cut something for time. They must have said, we need like a 90-minute movie. What can we
Yeah,
cut?
it probably wasn't the original script or the original.
Maybe he was writing it, got to page 40. They're like, we shoot tomorrow. And he's like, I guess the rest writes itself. I don't know.
Yeah, I did like, there's like little details that I enjoyed, like the fact that the elevator, it seems like it's demonic or something, but it's just the fucking keys sitting there. I thought that was a cute touch.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, because it's just hitting the keys.
Oh, because it wasn't closing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The movie had lost me at that point.
Okay.
I like
Yeah,
it.
no, and not in like like a dick way. You know, it just I was kind of like, huh? The key, okay. You know, I did like the elevator falling though. It reminded me of Speed. If he blows it, is there anything to stop it? Yeah, the basement.
Maybe it's I have this thing now where I am very quick to empathize with characters dealing with child shit just because I'm a dad and I don't know, I've turned into a giant pussy, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And so if it's like, oh, she's pregnant, this broad has 3 kids, okay, anxiety's up. And I don't know, maybe that helped my enjoyment, and the fact that you give me like 3 solid gore gags,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty good.
Right.
And this one has probably like between 6 and 8 really solid gore gags. I'd have to, my eyeballs were touching the fucking screen, so I can't count them, but
Yeah. There's a lot of shaking.
As a dad, how did you feel about the kids getting like?
I never like kids getting killed. Luckily, they're like both those kids are like a weird, like, I don't know what age they are. Like they could both be 20 years old.
And that daughter is definitely not like her actual daughter. Like I mean, that girl, like it must be.
She
all
takes
dad.
after, yeah.
like Jeff Goldblum in a Lost World. Like that girl is all mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I wasn't, it. Also, I'm not crazy. That little girl had a strong New Zealand accent, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought I was being New Zealand racist, but
No.
I
Didn't the sister also?
she did have a bit of an accent too.
She was not American.
And so that was a little distracting. And I kept because I think one of the girls in the opening has a New Zealand accent, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's another thing. I was like, okay, there's got to be a connection here because they're not hiding her accent. It turns out she's a child actress from New Zealand trying to do an American accent. But I was like, there's got to be a connection, and there's no fucking connection.
No connection between a lot of these things. But you guys each did 2 so far, right? Or there's
He's done like a dozen.
There were
but-
stacks. So yeah, I'll do one more piece. I'm going to go with The Belko Experiment, the James Gunn action horror film. Again, stuck in a building. In this movie, The Belko Experiment, everybody's basically has to kill each other. And part of the conceit of that movie was that they're going to be using like found items in the office because that's all they had to fight with. And here we get the cheese grater, we get the tattoo gun, we get not a lot else, but like it's still like it seemed like that was the direction they were trying to go. And maybe there should have been more objects, and it would have been a lot more fun.
Yeah, utilize the
there's so
space.
much.
Yeah.
Like Attack the Block is like a really great example of them utilizing not only all the different rooms in a
the geometry
building,
of the
exactly
the geography of
and
the
this one
equipment.
just didn't do that. When they had a tattoo gun at the beginning, I was like, why would she? Oh, so that they can put it in the eye later. You know what I mean? Like in Cop Out. Hey, I got to bring it up.
But we saw the chainsaw coming, right? With just the chainsaw on the thing. I
I
was
enjoy
like, here
a
it
good.
comes.
I like a good alternative family. I think it's
Sure.
fun to have that. It doesn't, and I don't think it needs to.
But like
once you
play
start,
that up. You know what
Sure,
I mean?
yeah.
Play it up. They didn't really do anything with it other than like, I'm an activist. I'm a DJ. I tattoo.
Yeah,
Like-
I feel like there might have been a missed opportunity in like that hallway shot. The people is great.
Yeah.
But you have all these potential victims, and you just kill them off screen, basically. And it's like, well, you could have done that. Like, there's a lot you could do with those people, but you're not gonna. And then, of course, when they're possessed, they're immediately I guess, taken out. I don't really know what happened there. But I just realized I have two good ones.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
The Raid.
Yeah, I was thinking
another
about that
example
too.
of
Yeah.
just great use, like Attack the Block, of
Yeah.
an apartment building, and more of what should have happened here. And then also, there's this little movie from, I think, 2009. I don't quite remember. It has Steven Weber. It's called The Farmhouse. And it's...
I've never seen
I
that.
I didn't finish it. So
Good piece, though.
I'm going to say it's fine. But it does have a cheese grater scene. That actually goes on for longer than this one. I had hoped that this one, because
didn't you expect more to come
like the
out?
fucking-
It was like
the
just some
hashtag-
blood on the ankle. That's all it was. I wanted to see some meat come out.
Yeah,
I was
well,
surprised they didn't
little
go further.
flesh flakes.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't go further with it.
Yeah, when I'm grating Parmesan and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, what if this was a human being's knee?
I cut that much off my thumb usually when I am actually trying to grate cheese.
Yeah.
You know.
Can I throw another one in, David?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we did talk about the DJ thing, so of course I was thinking the gate, right, with the whole backward record thing and the
Yeah.
trigger of the demons and all
Nice.
that. And so it was really cool to see all that involved. I mean, as a DJ, I did love to see the authenticity he put in. You know, he had the mixer and the two turntables, and he had the little chain and everything. He was showing that he has some EDM possibilities in him or something. But I like that. And then another one would be Salem, Lords of Salem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
So I love the whole trigger record thing in summoning up the demon and all that. So
I
it was
couldn't
really cool to see
remember if
that.
that was in Lords of Salem because I was so high watching that film.
How am
I
I?
don't
Which is
remember.
the
How
one
am I not the person who brought up a Rob Zombie movie in this discussion? That's the good one. And that just had its 10th anniversary 2 days ago.
Holy
Lords
shit.
of Salem.
Oh, God,
and
oh my
House
God,
of
that
1,000
long?
Corpses had its 20th anniversary.
I know.
4 days ago.
Yes, they did
Yeah.
a big
We
thing.
all die and nothing happens. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, if we're talking about Rob Zombie, I want him to keep going. I love him.
Me too. He's my absolute favorite. I got my Rob Zombie
Yeah,
tattoo.
keep going.
Amazing.
Even the Munsters I liked.
I loved it when I came home from Denver here recently. My wife had a 20th anniversary Blu-ray box set of House of 1,000 Corpses
Nice.
waiting for me.
Oh.
I watched all 7 hours of the new features.
Nice.
Just
Oh, yeah.
lovely.
We're praising the Munsters, so we're going off track here. I feel like, but
I had one more tiny piece too.
one more. Let's do it.
Skyline.
Oh.
The brothers Strauss.
Yeah.
The guys that did Alien vs. Predator Requiem and those Usher music videos. They used their AVPR money to, they made this movie. Nobody would make it. But it was their passion project. So they shot it themselves with their somewhat famous buddies. I think it had the one guy from Dexter, Angel from Dexter, and the kid from all those Disney movies and the Texas Chainsaw remake. And they shot it for $500,000 with no visual effects. Mm-hmm. And not the whole thing, but 75% of it takes place in a penthouse during an alien invasion. They treat it's like a zombie movie, but meets Independence Day.
Sure.
They shot the whole thing for $500,000, and when it was done, no effects in it. They brought it to different effects companies and were like, "Hey, put $10 million of effects into this, and you've got a movie." And then James Cameron's company did. They bought it and put it out. Nobody saw it, and the ones who did hated it, except for me. But I just applaud that kind of I want to make this movie, and I'm gonna actually fucking make it happen. And the trailer for this gave me a similar feeling, where I was like, man, it looks like the person who made that really was excited to make an Evil Dead movie. Mm-hmm. And in this one, it almost seemed like they reshot a bunch of inserts to make it seem like an Evil Dead movie. They went back oh, you need a chainsaw. We need to slap the Evil Dead label on this, because I don't know that up until the third act that Evil Dead would even come to my mind. Necessarily.
It was a zombie movie, basically.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is interesting because Lee Cronin fucking loves the Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
sure
could
he
have fooled
does.
me because, at the very least, because those movies are there's so much wit and creativity, and all the shots that were in this. I mean, this movie had more split diopters than a Brian De Palma music video. But that's all that they were doing. Everything that was in this movie, I've seen done before. I've seen done that way before, and I've seen done in this exact moment that way before. And you look at the first one, the first Evil Dead, and budget aside, it's so inventive. This wasn't as inventive as much as ooh, I'll use the fisheye, or I'll use the diopter, or I'll rotate the lens. it just kind of was, and I don't know.
And and again, it was so much real estate to use, and they just didn't do it, and that's kind of what turned me off from it.
Yeah.
I hate to turn this into a review show as well, but you can't help it. We just got done watching it. What are you gonna?
That's
We
right.
mentioned so many pieces in this episode.
There's a lot. We brought up a lot of pieces. There's only a handful of people here, but anybody have a piece that they thought of that we didn't bring up?
Exorcist.
The Exorcist. Okay. What do you have any kind of specific connection to the movie?
Well, maybe just the puking.
Yeah, there is a lot of puking.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's always got to be some expulsion.
Speaking of Beyond the Door.
And you're right. That's another thing. Like, we're talking about how this movie, as Evil Dead fans, like, we're a little bit disappointed in like what it took from Evil Dead and tried to bring to this, but puking isn't really an Evil Dead thing. Like, and there's like 4 puking scenes in this or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really. It's an Exorcist thing for sure.
I love puke in movies.
What goes
None of the puke
goes
did
even
anything
before
for me.
Exorcist? Like, who puked in a horror film first? Like, I want to know what was the piece, for Exorcist?
I started thinking of Scary Movie 3 when I was watching this. When she's like trying to get through the door, I was thinking of that part where Charlie Sheen's like, they've mastered space travel, but they can't get through a wooden door.
How about Repossessed? Remember
Love
that
it.
one? There
Oh,
was so
so
much
good.
vomit in that one.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. I hate rock and roll.
How about my son out there, Jake? You have a piece, anything that connects? Nothing?
I want him to say
I'm
The
calling you
Exorcist
out
2
here.
there.
Come on. Nothing?
I was trying, but no, I honestly, I was literally going to say The Raid because I seen it yesterday, but he's
All right,
Yeah.
there you go.
You
No,
should
The Raid-
have just said The Good Son and glared at your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I would have liked
the
more
raid
of that
is
too.
great.
The kids like getting to be like little sinister evil kids, but they
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish that they would have got that little girl. That would have been fun.
Yeah,
I
I
if
didn't.
you're
went
gonna
all the
do it,
way.
just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I would have if that little girl. If I was the main character in this, and the little girl gets sucked under the gate, I'm like, sucks to be you, dude. Like your whole family's dead anyway. You're never gonna recover from this. It'll be over in like 30 seconds. I've got a baby that I'm gonna have, and if I die before it's born, like that's fucked up. Like I don't know. Like
You know what? There's something to that. I didn't really want the little girl to be turned into a deadite,
Right.
but now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like there's not really a strong all is lost moment in this movie. I think it might be when the son dies. I'd have to rewatch the movie, but I feel like or maybe it's when she's sucked into the parking garage. Maybe that's the all. I don't know.
But that's not-
But either which way, it's not a strong all is lost moment. It doesn't feel like there's no getting out of this situation. And I feel like if she had been turned into a deadite, and this woman who
get out
is
of it.
pregnant, who loves her family, whose main goal is to protect children, has to then kill a child, that's a fucking strong all is lost moment. That's one to really just kick that third act's ass.
how do you save a cat when the cat is the smartest one in the room? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, that is a dark thing to end this on, but
More child death
Kill
in
them
movies.
all.
I was going to go with the fetus, but anyway.
If you put a kid in a movie,
got there.
the fetus hanging itself at the end of Butterfly,
They could have did something with that.
or Dead Alive. But
that fetus is like, if that's the real world, I'm out.
Joe, tell people where they can find you.
BlueMeansPregnantFilms.com. It's my production company, Blue Means Pregnant Films. It's the website has almost all 15 of my movies on there, my features on there. It also has a handful of shorts and a bunch of behind-the-scenes documentaries and featurettes and interviews. It's the whole 20-year history of my company on one website, and it's all on there for free. You can also we have our newest film, Natasha Hall, is available now on Amazon. You can rent or buy it on Amazon. Please do. And we have another Natasha Hall film, a sequel called Suffrage that we just wrapped that will hopefully be coming out before the end of the year.
Michael, at the time of this recording, is your YouTube channel still up?
It is still up.
Okay,
I was
good.
really mad because I did that video trying to promote this show, and then immediately YouTube terminates my account. I talk about porn a lot.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, and
Just Franklin?
they decided that one of the videos that I censor, like every other one of my videos, was one step too far, and 0 strikes on my channel, terminated it. I used the power of Twitter to save it, but it was a bit of a like, oh fuck, there goes like 15 years of work.
Goes everything.
But yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Just search Michael Keene, Keene, and then I'm the one who's not the guitarist for the Faceless. So I do YouTube videos because I'm a hip young kid. hip young 33-year-old kid. And I also make movies under my company is Manatee Party. We don't have as much great work, but my film The Head is on Tubi and Troma now. Definitely not the two easiest streaming services to get onto. And I don't know where. I think Fatal Future might still be on Amazon Prime. I actually don't remember. I think it is. And then my next movie, Dr. Deathface, will be at places. I don't fucking know. Hopefully festivals. Who knows at this point? Maybe a Bedgine is too far ahead for them. I don't know.
Sure. Jimmie, where can people find you?
Mainly on Instagram at Spacetunes, SPACETOONZ. And right now I'm up to, I'm doing, like I said, the Nightmare Trivia Nights, and also I'm doing the Death to Cinema, which is VR screenings. So if you guys are familiar with big screen, anyone do the Oculus screenings yet?
I did one once a while ago, and I want to check that out because that sounds like a really cool
thing. Pick
thing
up an
you guys are
Oculus.
doing.
They're getting cheaper. They're doing PlayStation's coming out one soon. But Big Screen is the app, and I do a Friday nights. I canceled mine tonight for you, David. But I usually do Friday nights. It's called Grindhouse VR, and I show a film, and then we have post discussions afterwards. So people in avatar form are talking movies. So you should come join us. Strap one on.
The metaverse is not as bad as I thought.
Yes. And so at Spacetunes.
Awesome. Jimmie, thank you so much for doing the show for the first time. Hopefully we'll get you back on a regular one sometime. And that goes for you guys too,
And the audience should give themselves a round of applause all for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
This is
All
where
right.
Dave inserts a stadium.
All
Just a
300
big
of
echo.
you.
Yeah.
Wow, I think this beats out the Lana Del Rey short. Wow. Okay.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about Evil Dead Rise. Thank you to everyone who showed up for the live show. We're continuing to plan on some more of these things in the future and hoping to keep making them better and better. And I think it's a great addition to what we're doing here with Piecing It Together. And it's always a fun time to get together with people, watch a movie, and then talk about them. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for being there if you were there. And thanks for continuing to support Piecing It Together. Now that we're at 300 episodes, it's been a wild ride, but a lot of podcasting has been done, and I still love doing it, so I'm going to do probably another 300 episodes. We'll see what happens, but make sure you are subscribed so you will find out about all of the new ones as they come out. I've already got like 4 ready to go for the next couple of weeks, so lots of podcasts coming your way. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts, and if you like what we do here on the show, drop a 5-star rating and review. It helps to make sure people see the show, that it raises up in those ranks, and more listeners will find out about it, and then we'll get to do all kinds of new fun things. So make sure to drop that 5-star rating and review, either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, wherever it is you're listening. We do appreciate that. You could also follow me on social media at PiecingPod. Join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. And don't forget about the Produced by David Rosen Patreon I told you about at the top. There is a lot of content to check out over there, including that outtake from tonight's Evil Dead Rise live show. So check it out. So let's close this thing out with a piece of music like I always do. And let's see, what should I play today? You know what? This being a pretty big, major episode, being episode 300 and being a big old live show, I'm going to preview some new music. How about that? This is a song from what will end up being most likely my next album. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm not going to tell you the title. Let's keep that in the dark for now a little bit. But the song's maybe not 100% done, but it's pretty close. So I hope you enjoy it. Keep an eye out for the next album. I actually did just release a new music video called Ascending, which you should check out on my YouTube channel. And of course, check out the full album, my most recent one, More Content. But there will be another album somewhat soon. This will most likely be on it. So hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.